Hey gamers, we're back with another episode of Let's Create a Competitive Card Game. In this episode, I'll be finishing up the card types and also revealing the icon logo. So let's get started. So last episode, we came up with 2 new card types and we also came up with the resource system for the game. Now the resource system in this game is called an ability system. The ability system is made up of 2 types of ability points, skill points and talent points. And cards within the game may require either skill points or talent points to play, or they may require both of them to play. And the idea behind 2 ability points comes from me initially wanting to have a strategic 2 resource system. Now, the way this ability system works within the game is that at the start of a player's turn, that player has to choose whether they want to gain a skill point or a talent point. And this is where the strategicness of this resource system comes into play. So do you want to gain a skill point or talent point based on the cards you have in hand, allowing you to play those cards? Or do you want to gain a skill or a talent point based on the cards you have in your deck, thus setting you up for future turns? So that is how the ability system works within this game. Now, the 2 card types we came up with last episode were skill cards and talent cards. And skill cards represent abilities that you can learn through training, hard work, or experience. So they correlate to skills in real life. And as such, these skills can be played on either player's turn. And as they are skill cards, they primarily require skill points to play, with more powerful skills requiring some level of talent to use. And within this game, talents are the exact opposite, per se, of skills. So talents represent natural abilities or things you are born able to do. And with that, they can only be played on the player's turn. And as they are talent cards, they primarily require talent points to use. And just like skill cards, more powerful talents may require some level of skill, aka skill points, to use. So, for this episode, I want to finish up with the card types. We currently have 4, and I do recall saying I wanted 5 maximum different card types. So, we have 4 here. However, I will not count the class card as a card type, as the idea behind the class card is that it is not placed in your deck. It is simply put into play at the start of the game, and it has you, the player's life, and you, the player's special ability, aka your will. So far the only cards which actually go into the deck are the follower skills and talents. So for this episode, I'll go ahead and come up with the last 2 card types. Now the first card type I have in mind is called a companion card. Now, the idea behind companions is that they represent powerful or strong allies to you, the player. And with that, a companion can be anything. A companion can be a rock, it can be a humanoid, it can be an animal, it could even be a, let's say, ballista that you drag around with you. So we can say first that companions represent strong allies. Or not strong, let's say trusted allies. And let's say powerful trusted allies. Let's unbold this. And as the idea of companions is that they are powerful, the way I envision them working within the game is that at the start of the game, both players can search their deck for a companion card and place it face down in play. And at any point in the game that a player can pay the cost to play that companion, they can pay that cost and play that companion. And for powerful, the idea behind that is that as the game goes on, these companions gain more and more effects while they are in play. So as you gain ability points, you unlock more effects of your companion card. So we can say that you can only control one companion at a time. And as the idea is, again, for these cards to be powerful, we'll say that you can only play them on your turn. And now, I see a potential pitfall of this card type being that, as I said, as the game goes on, these companions get more and more effects and get more powerful. So a limitation for that, which I have in mind, is that these companions only stay in play for a certain amount of time. So I'll go ahead and say that. Let's say most companions. Most companions only stay in play for a certain amount of time. And I'll go ahead and say to be determined for the amount of time, because I'm not sure right this second. Now I'll go ahead and copy this as a template and just paste it here. So what are the parts of a companion? So yes, a companion will have a name, they'll have a cost, a type, game mechanic, some text. They may also, let's say they may also have a status. Let's see, what else? We can also say they may have attack and defense. As I did say, they could be humanoids or animals. And let's see. So I use Ballista as an example. So these cards can also have some amount of life. And the idea behind the life is, say that your companion is a Ballista. The life would be the cumulative amount of damage this companion can take before it is destroyed. So essentially a companion can have everything. And I'll put a note that says not all companions will have attack, defense, and life. How should I say this? Not all companions, let's just say have attack, defense, and life, and I'll abbreviate it. There. Now the next card type I have in mind is the catch-all card type that I said I wanted. So I did a bit of thinking on this, and I think I have something that could possibly work. So the name of this card type is Relic. Now, relics in this game, they represent cards that come from outside the now. So if you recall the world lore, I said that the past, present, future, and every incarnation of everything that was, is, and will be exists in a single moment called the now. Now, the single moment is down to the, let's say, microsecond. So the now is this specific moment in time down to the microsecond, expanded out infinitely. And with that, you could begin to imagine that within the universe of this game, there are an infinite amount of nows. So with that, the relics within this game essentially just come from a different version of the now. So that is how relics will work in this game. And so what I'll say is, and like companions, a relic can be, it can be anything. So I'll just say relics represent, let's say, things that exist outside them. And instead of things, I'll say objects. And let's go ahead and say that like companions, they can only be used on your turn. And let's also just mention that they may require skill or ability points to play. And the same actually goes for companions, so I'll go ahead and update that. What I want to do is just add some space here. Now, so these relics represent objects that exist outside the now, and they may require skill points or abilities to play. Now, let's say that also relics stay in play when they are used, as they typically provide some lasting effects. There we go. Now, one thing about relics, which isn't true for companions, is, as I said, they represent objects. So, as an object, they can be things like swords or treasure or a plate of armor. They can be anything. So, with that, we'll say that relics, or we'll say that some relics can be attached to other cards. And with that, one thing I have to think about is what happens if a relic is attached to a card and that card is destroyed or removed from the player. Games like Yu-Gi-Oh, when you have an equipment card equipped to a card, when that card is destroyed, the equipment card is destroyed. However, say the equipped card is removed from play or sent back to your hand, then the equipment card is still destroyed. The way it works in the spoils is when a card is equipped to another card, if that other card would be removed from play, then the equipped card also leaves play in the same area. So if the other card is sent back to the deck or sent to the hand or sent wherever, then the equipment card will also be sent there. Now, I like that a lot better than the equipment card just being destroyed. So we'll say if a relic is attached to a card and that card leaves the play area, then the relic leaves in the same way. So let's say if a relic let's say the relic, let's say leaves play in the same way. So it leaves the player areas. Okay, so now what are the parts of a relic? Let's see, a relic can have a name. So a relic won't have a static or a status. They are usually some objects. Now, yeah, they'll have a cost of a type, game mechanic, text. A relic could possibly have attack and defense and also life. So yeah, I think this here is good for a relic. So essentially, they will act the same as companions to a point, and the only difference being that a relic can be attached to another card. Actually, a relic may act as any other card. So you could have a relic that can only be played as a talent, or a relic that can only be played as a skill, or you can have a relic imitate a follower, and in which case I will say they should have the status. So the relic will be the catch-all card for this card. So with these two new card types, these will be the card types of the game. We'll have class cards, follower skills, talents, companions, and relics. Now, with that, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hop over to Photoshop and reveal the icon logo. Alright, so we're in Photoshop, and this is the icon logo for the game. So as I stated last episode, icon logos are what companies use to represent their brand. So think of the Apple for Apple, or the small Android guy for Android. So this will be the icon logo for Mythical The Card Game. Now all it is the M from the full logo, and what I did is I put these two circles here and input the guild color, so the red, yellow, and blue guilds, and this actually looks pretty good to me. The only thing I'm not too sure about is the background here. So we have this deep blue background, and I'm not sure if I like this or a plain white background better. So until this game is actually released, what I'll do is I'll most likely flip between the two often, just to see which one I like more. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hop back over to the document. Alright, so we're back over in the document, and for this episode, this will be all. So we have all of the card types: class, follower, skills, talents, companions, and relics. So what I'll do next episode is I may go ahead and try to come up with some game mechanics. So game mechanics are things like double strike, vigilant, death touch, things like that, which give your game some type of flavor. So I'll come up with a few of those for this game world, and just having a few of those should help with creating cards for the first set. Alright guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Thanks.